So, when we talk about a brand, a lot of agencies, a lot of marketing departments make it sound like a lot of smoke and mirrors. And I'm going to say this, a clear brand messaging strategy that's repeatable and memorable is probably one of your most practical marketing and sales assets. So, I'm going to say something that might be controversial to all of my graphic design friends, and to them, I apologize. But while a lot of people immediately think of logo when they talk about brand, that is probably the least important part of it. At its core, what a brand is that little nugget of information that's rattling around in someone's brain when they forget everything else about you. And I promise they will forget everything else about you. So, in order to get the right nugget in there, you want to be incredibly consistent with what you're presenting. And that consistency comes from the message, not from the visuals. So, a brand messaging strategy is really what you're looking for. And that's the most important part of your brand. So, let's talk about what that means because it sounds very vague, brand messaging strategy. But just like this house in the picture, your brand messaging strategy needs certain things in order to be considered a house at all, right? So think of your brand strategy as this house, and the foundation of your house is your value proposition. And that clearly outlines your offer and what's unique about you. Now, then there is your positioning statement. That's the frame of your house. It's what makes your house different from every other home. It's what makes it a Tudor or a Georgian or a contemporary. People can just look at it and get a general sense of how your house stacks up to other houses, how it compares. Then there's your brand voice and personality. And sometimes this is the biggest differentiator for a brand house. This is the shutters and the window boxes and the thing that give your brand curb appeal. And these are the things that somebody looks at your house and says, I might not know everything that they're about, but I like them. It's curb appeal. So sometimes it's the most differentiating part of a brand message. Then there is your brand origin story. This is how we learn all about you, all about how your brand came to be, all about what your why is. And this is really the windows and the door of the house. It's how people get inside. It's what pulls people in. It's what engages them in an important way. So that's an important one. And once you're inside, you get a look at the floor plan of the house, right? And the floor plan is your content mission statement. That's the interior floor plan that tells people what they can expect when they're inside the house, what they can expect when they're interacting with your brand. This is where you tell them what you plan to teach them, what you plan to tell them about with both your free and your paid content. And then finally, there's your brand promise. That's the address. Some people call it a brand promise. Some people call it a tagline, a corporate signature, a bite-sized brand bio, whatever you call it. This is the one small piece of information that lets people know that they're in the right place unequivocally. So if you think about your brand as a house, and in order to be a house, you have to have these elements. So as a part of this blog series, we're going to dive into each of those pieces to talk about what makes a brand messaging strategy go.